So I remember, Lewis, I first met you at Build, and I remember like my best memory and the strongest one was like, this guy is going to be a whale killer, meaning your strategy from what I saw early on was like, I'm going to talk to brokers, teams, and really, try to make a big splash early on. So I've been excited to hear how that's been going with this interview. I mean, a year and a half, you're approaching 50 agents in your organization, which is amazing. We always say if you get 50, you can get 500. If you can get 500, you can get 5,000. And that's facts. So Lewis, tell us where you're from and give in about 2 minutes, like your real estate background before eXp.
Sure. Yeah. First off, 20 contacts a day keeps the dream in play. Unbelievable. I love that one down. So I'm originally from Minnesota, St. Paul, born and raised. And I actually just relocated to Big Fork, which is up in the northwest corner of Montana, about 6 weeks ago. Loving it here so far. It's been fantastic. And in terms of real estate experience prior to eXp, essentially non-existent. Started here. I had the opportunity to be at 100% with my sister. Actually, she had a broker's license in Minnesota, and when I told her that I was going to be getting into real estate, she was like, "Oh, perfect. Come work with me. I'll take you under my wing, teach you everything you need to know, and if you're serious about doing this and stick with it, we can, partner up and try to build a family brokerage together, and this will be great." But I already saw the model about 6 times and said, I can't even do it, but you got to come over here and let's do what you're talking about just over in this space. And she actually joined the company back in April. So kind of interesting how that worked out.
Awesome. Was she was it challenging to get her to see it, or did she just watch the video and she's like, oh yeah, this makes sense?
Yeah, I mean, it was a little bit of a challenge, just because she didn't know anything about it really. Like she had heard it in passing, but she just wasn't really aware of the company. And so I think she was kind of watching from afar for a little bit, like, all right, let me just see how this goes for you. And surely over time just saw how it was building and the success that I, was having with my partners. And I think the wheels started to turn for a little bit after more conversations and taking a look at it, and was like, oh, okay. I mean, I get it now. So yeah, be exciting to move forward with her.
So you come over, your sister comes with you. This was a year and a half ago-ish. You had never sold a house. So have you started selling real estate, or is it only attraction for you?
Yeah, I mean, I believe I did. I think it was maybe not 9 total transactions in my first, calendar year of being an agent. And, I'd say maybe, 4 of those were co-lists from my amazing partners that wanted to see me succeed and wanted to help me out in the beginning. I mean, and continue to, obviously, but in terms of the transactional side, yeah, it's still in the beginning stages. Definitely. I am growing and learning a lot.
And now you're in Big Fork, so it's a brand new market. So it's kind of restart. Yeah. That's awesome. This is great for people here, because a lot of times when we bring new agents into the company, they're like, oh, I'm just going to focus on sales, which is great if that's what their heart is. If they're just like, I just want to be a successful real estate agent first and then attract agents. But if your heart is, man, I see what residual income can do for my life and the freedom it creates. Like, I don't want agents to shy away from it because they're newer in the business, and you obviously haven't. So what was your mindset like? You never sold a house, you must have, a level of confidence to go right into attraction, but like, what was your thought process, man? Like you saw it, like, what were you thinking?
Trying to regather my brain that had effectively turned into scrambled eggs after watching it, and really trying to wrap my head around what it meant for this industry, and just what it meant for the future. And it it's really interesting. I feel like it was like an onion. It was just in layers that I had these things really hit me of, oh, okay, you could do that. Oh, wow, you could do that. Oh, it could turn into this. So it was really an ongoing process of the more I studied the model and the more people that I had conversations with in the company in general and within my organization, that it just, it's the first of its kind, and it had never existed before. And to be coming in at the ground level in a, innovation stage still, I just felt so fortunate for that opportunity to, try to run at this thing full speed. And in terms of the strategy, because obviously it's like, right, brand new, I'm in no position to be giving experienced agents transactional advice or, anything like that, nor would I attempt to. And I really just led with just trying to provide value in terms of being a problem solver. And so that's where learning the model, the ins and outs of it, and it's really just a conversation of discovery. What is somebody looking to do? What do they want their business to look like in the next 3, 5, 10 years? And depending on what they have in mind, what the long-term, short-term plans may be, and we can explore some of the different options for them within eXp. Maybe it makes sense for them to take a look at this and just reconsider their business as a whole. So it really was from the standpoint of, if I can facilitate these conversations and I can get in front of these highly successful people and connect them with my partners who have also done the same, or, potentially greater in the business, that I'd be, again, just providing value.
Yeah. So it sounds like you studied the model so you could intelligently pique someone's curiosity, get them to see it, and then bring in your upline partners. The 3 P's of the process: peak, present, pass. I love it. So as a newer agent, you're talking to these bigger producers, and I know you've had some great conversations with some, and I think brought over a couple as well. Was there ever a time when you're having a conversation with them and they're just like, hey man, like, how many houses have you sold? Like, you're a brand new agent. Like, did you ever get that?
Yeah, I a couple times, but I look back now at it as, they, and perhaps that had something to do with it, but it generally came from people where they were annoyed that I reached out to them in the first place.
Yeah.
The whole, Rob Flick piece of I'm looking for good energy, and
Yeah.
and it wasn't good energy. So yeah, I did. I definitely ran into it here and there, but for the most part, the people that that were really just genuinely curious about it and had a true mind for business, or at least wanting to look at a brand new opportunity, that never really came up. It wasn't necessarily on their mind or a big concern of theirs, because I was never leading with, oh, I've done X, Y, Z. It's not about me at all. It's about, you run a fantastic business. You have scaled this to a certain magnitude, which is not easy to do. So if I were to introduce you to some of my partners who were in similar positions as you were or currently are, would you be interested in just having that conversation to see what it could look like for you and how it's gone for them? So really just trying to remove myself from the equation as much as possible and just really act as a facilitator.
Yeah. That's beautiful. And that's a script for everything, guys. If I could do this, would you do this? If I could introduce you to my partners who were in a similar position to you or are in a similar position to you, would you take the time to chat with them? If I could do this, would you do this? I love it. So your numbers, I'm looking at them. It says 5 FLQAs, which awesome. You got your second level open. How many have you personally sponsored so far?
5.
Okay, so you haven't had anyone leave yet?
There's been one individual in in the organization, not from my front line, but there's been one person that
Cool.
has
So all five that you went out and got are
yes.
still here. Awesome. So
Yep.
5, 20, and 42. So what's been your best month in rev share for those that might not know what that might pay out?
Yeah. So actually December coming up here is going to be the highest that it's ever been.
Nice.
And it's pretty cool to see, man. Like, you know, you're used to it looking a certain way for a year, and then entering into tier 2, and it, you know, it has so far tripled from what it was last month, and so it's it's a very exciting thing to see, and just another affirmation of, oh, this, you know, this is real, this is working. So
Is it more or less than $2,000 for December?
we're approaching that. It's getting close.
Approaching
So
2,000. Cool.
yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Do you have many people on your 3rd and 4th level?
Yes, yeah, I have, in terms of, my 3rd level has 12 agents, my 4th level has 7 agents, and 1 agent on my 5th.
Okay, so about half your organization is on levels that you don't have open yet. Cool.
Yeah.
So if you had those open, it'd probably be about $4,000 for December. So
Yeah.
a little motivation, which is crazy to think, man. Like, think about this for a second. You know, I want everyone to think about this. So, you know, you got a brand new agent, loses a brand new agent, joins a year and a half ago, says, hey, selling real estate's cool, but for my vision for my life, I want to build residual income, move to Big Fork, Montana. I want to talk about that in a second. As soon as he gets his levels unlocked and is getting paid the full amount on his organization, he's already at like $4K a month. Call it $3-4K a month. I mean, that's what the average real estate agent makes like per year. So you've essentially, as soon as you, of course, you gotta unlock the levels, but when you do, you've created the average real estate agent's active income stream residually. Like, that to me is so powerful. And I'm probably preaching to the choir, but maybe we got some new people on here. You guys are here because you get it. Like, that is unbelievable. Like, the average agent is going to work for the next 20 years, making what Lewis would make, but his is residual. Theirs is active. And we know when you hit 50, you can hit 500. So it's not going to stop. It's going to take on a life of its own eventually and start to grow without you, which is the key piece. So congratulations on your accomplishment so far. That's awesome.
Thank you.
So like, why? Like, you know, I think this is good for people to hear. Like, I'm trying to dig into your mindset a little bit. Why day one did you say my focus is going to be revenue share over active real estate sales, or was that a conscious decision?
Yeah, you know, it was a conscious decision. Still with the intent of wanting to jump into sales and still, you know, conduct business in that sense. But this was just so, I guess just the concept of it, again, it just something that had never existed before, and really wrapping my head around, or attempting to wrap my head around, the impact that it could have and will have long term. That was really what did it for me. I understood that it would be a process, and that it wasn't, you know, certainly wasn't going to happen overnight. And you know, becoming callous to rejection. That's really it. Is just the willingness to, and like, yeah, I've had some serious gut punches certain days, and people that I talk to, and just that dread, that feeling of just like, man, I don't, I'm not trying to, I love your story about where you were staring out the window and saw the guys burying fiber optic cables, was it? And you're just like, bro, I'm getting out of this office right now. You know, I just, and from having worked, I mean, tiling bathrooms, installing fences, building decks for people, like having done years of manual labor too, it's like, this isn't what I'm trying to do for the rest of my life. You know, I mean, it's a great profession. People, those are services people need, and it's very respectable work. And I'm very fortunate to have done it for a period of time, and still do here and there. My, you know, sister and dad have Airbnbs that they operate out here, and so I'm assisting with property management and chopping wood to keep the stoves stocked up and that type of thing. So, you know, it's all in good fun, but just in terms of having to rely on something where if you don't show up every single day and continue to put in that effort, it's not going to happen. So I guess just seeing a pathway to truly build something bigger than myself that can be beneficial to more people than just me or my immediate family. That's really what just kind of solidified it for me.
That's key, man. Like that's what really makes this special. It's like, yeah, helping buyers and sellers, you know, it's a great thing to do. It certainly helps them a lot. But this is outside of you. You know, this is legacy. This can help others in a big way. And that's what really hit me too. When I figured this out, I was like, man, like I'm selling a lot of houses right now, but at the end of the day, you know, 2 years from now, that seller that I just sold a house to is probably going to have a sign in the yard with another agent. I'm going to drive by and be like, dang it, I didn't follow up with them enough, you know, because they forgot about me.
Yeah.
I'll use Chris Molnar as an example. He just hit 100 agents in his rev share organization in Saskatchewan,
Yeah.
Canada, small town. You're probably pretty close to him in Northwest Montana now. You could probably drive there. He hit 100. It's been like 4 years, 5 years maybe. He's been grinding, but the guy sells like 50 houses a year too, so he's a massive producer. But Chris Molnar will never forget who I am and what it meant to him by me sharing eXp with him. John Mykesh, you know, like so many of my level ones, so many of my level 2s, 3s, like they'll never forget me. And it's not like an ego thing at all. It's like it's the impact you had in somebody's life. Like that is cool.
Right.
I would say most of my sellers and buyers have long forgot about me at this point in time, and that's fine. So it's cool. And what's awesome too, man, like you said, you did 9 deals your first year, like first calendar year. That's more than the average agent does. So you built a residual income stream and sold more real estate than the average real estate agent sells in your first year. So that's really awesome. So you can do both, and we encourage that. So let's talk a little bit about, we'll spend another 10 minutes or so. Hopefully you guys can stick around a little bit longer. It's being recorded and it's also being streamed in the Facebook group. And I'll have this on my YouTube channel later as well, if you guys want to share it with some people in your group that weren't able to make it. So how do you do it, man? So like day one, you see the opportunity. I already alluded to, you were going to go after bigger producers, bigger agents. Did you start making those 20 contacts a day to keep the dream in play? Have you gotten to the point where, hey, you know, my goal's X amount of contacts per week? Just talk a little bit about what your like work looks like.
Sure. Yeah. You know, and so in the beginning, and the majority of the time, the difference between intensity and consistency. And that's something that we talked a ton about back at, you know, the office in Minnesota with Blake and Joe and Joey and Nevin and everybody, where, you know, we had no problem being like we were on fire for this thing, no problem being intense about it. But speaking for myself, my consistency was a huge piece for me that was a battle to deal with, because I could pick up the phone and make, you know, 40, 60 calls a day for these periods of time. And then I, you know, would hit some burnout and like I have to step away for a second and then come back to it. So, you know, implementing the 2-10-40 just as a baseline, and thank you and thank John for hopping on and doing this week in and week out, to be able to just solidify that for people. I mean, and keeping that as a base, I think is very, very important. To at least you're sticking to this, that has to be your standard. However, days that go above and beyond that, but really just keeping that in place of, you know what, as long as this can be a standard, it's still a step forward every day. So
yeah, well, I think 99.9% of people can relate to that. You know, it's easy to be a flash in the pan and make a bunch of calls one week, but the people who really excel at anything in life, that they're there for the long haul. You know, there's Eric Worre, he has a great book, GoPro. If you guys haven't read it, recommend you buy it today. GoPro. Eric Worre has a great podcast too.
Oh yeah.
But what I was watching a video with him, and what he was talking about was he would rather have someone on his team be a glacier versus a snowstorm. A snowstorm comes in overnight, dumps a bunch of snow, creates a bunch of buzz. It's exciting. It's scary. It's like, wow, you wake up the next morning, there's all this snow. It's like, wow, that person just made 100 calls last week, sponsored 10 people. That's amazing. What he's saying is, no, I just want that glacier that moves so slow you can't even see it moving, but change the face of this earth, like literally change the face of this earth by carving out valleys and all this other stuff. Like, I thought that was so powerful. And so I think about that a lot. And I think you're doing that because you're still putting in the work. It might not be to the level you want it to be every week, but you're still showing up on a consistent basis, like, which is the reason why you have the organization that you do. And you mentioned all the guys that you started to build with. I think it was important from an outside perspective that you had that crew with Blake and Joey and Joe and all those guys, Nevin and Tasia, like, they're all excited. You guys were all right there in Minnesota together. Like, everyone's making some calls. You're getting excited. You're having fun, making silly videos, like, doing events. What are you going to do in Big Fork, man? Like, you're out there by yourself now. Are you a little concerned at all? Or have you put stuff in place to kind of create that energy, keep it going?
Yeah, I mean, it's exciting. I looked at it as, I mean, it's still in a sense for eXp, as far as it's concerned, it's like literally and figuratively the Wild West out here, where Gene Frederick has this awesome video, and I think somebody posted it on YouTube like 3 years ago or something like that. I don't know exactly how old it is, but he's speaking in Omaha, Nebraska, before there were any agents in Nebraska. So shout out to Nebraska if anybody's on this call right now. But he had this amazing analogy where he's talking about like a new build community, new home development. And he's like, look, we throw a trailer up out there before it begins. And then when you see the trailer out there, is that going to catch your attention? Are you going to be willing to go check it out then? Or are you going to have to wait until the first model home is built? Or are you going to be the person that waits until the entire community is developed and the roads are in, roads are paid, all of that stuff? And he's like, I'm looking for the trailer people. And I'm listening to him say this in the video as I'm sitting in the trailer camper that my girlfriend and I are living out here when we decided to move out here.
I knew you were a camper. I was going to say something.
Yeah. And I just, oh yeah. Yeah. And I just was like, I mean, if anybody would have been on the outside walking by, just be like, who's that lunatic in there? And I'm just laughing at the top of my lungs, like just dying at it, where it's like, no, this is lit, like, this is it. And I know that the agent count for Montana and Idaho, Wyoming is, on the lower end of things. And it's, and I do have family out here too. My mom's been living out here for about 15 years. So that was in place where we weren't completely going to somewhere where we knew nobody. But when the opportunity presented itself, and just knowing where this company is heading and what is going to happen over the next 5 to 10 years, I don't think I would have really forgiven myself if I didn't go for it and at least try.
I love it, man. Like what you're doing, like literally living in like a camper in Montana. Like if you guys don't know, it's December. I had to check the calendar because it's 85 degrees out. I still got my tan going, but it's like Montana in December. It is crazy. So like what you're doing, man, like what you're doing, I'm so excited that you just made this life move. Like you're chasing your dreams, man. Like what you're doing is as exciting to me as I'd be excited if someone just told me they bought an oceanfront mansion, like, because you're chasing your dreams, and that's what matters. You had the courage to do it. So it's awesome, man. Congrats on that. You gotta take a picture in front of your camper and carry it in your pocket to the next event. And when you see Gene, you got to share that story. Like, hey, I'm in Big Fork, Montana, literally in a camper about to crush eXp because I heard your Nebraska story. And I'm curious, like, put in the comments, in the chat, type in Gene if you've heard that story, because he doesn't share it often. I've heard it. I've probably seen the same video. He rarely shares it. Type in Gene if you've heard that story before. We still got 44 people on here, and type in AJ if you heard the story about me talking about digging ditches and people laying fiber optic cables. I'm just so curious. And I want to do this because I don't share that story often either. We got more AJs than Gene, but still only 4 people out of, the whole group have even heard either of those stories. So we got some more AJs coming in. But I wanted to see that visually because the point I wanted to make is Lewis is a student of the game, and that's why he's having success. To know those 2 stories, he's watched everything. Like, he's watched everything. That's, pretty much everything that's worth watching on Agent Attraction, on eXp, this guy's watched. And I don't even have to ask him because he just shared those 2 stories. So he's consuming this stuff, and it does 2 things. It educates you on how to do this, and it keeps you excited about the opportunity. He's in Big Fork by himself, but he's not by himself. He's going to keep that energy because he's self-educating and staying in the energy, which is awesome, man. I'm fired up for you. So we'll end on this. What's like a tactical piece of advice that you can give to the group on like how to actually like make that call? Like
no cap or, oh, sorry.
Yeah, just to say one other thing, just like maybe how to get over the fear, and then like who did you decide to call, and like how did you like open that call up?
I have 3 pages of notes with me from Build this past year, and I've just been reviewing some of them and some of the biggest takeaways that I had. And I think number 1, velocity of failure launches you towards success. So be willing to fail forward, because you're going to learn in the process. Also, there's no capital risk. It's only ego risk. Like, you pick up the phone, it doesn't go well. You didn't lose a contract out of it. You didn't lose a listing out of it. You just, might have taken a gut punch, and it is what it is, So I think that's a huge piece. And also don't make their decision for them. Like, if there's someone that you're thinking about, and I'll chat, like, because I'm going to be doing this today after the call here, I challenge everybody on this call, pick up the phone and call somebody that you were either afraid to call or you had contact with beginning of the year, summer, whatever it may have been, and you were we were going to talk, we were going to revisit the conversation. Whoever that is, just do it, because we really don't know where anybody's at unless we ask. And in terms of opening up that conversation, several of my partners are on this call right now, but in particular, my sponsor, Nevin, love that man to death, incredible human being, and as well, Dan Bergeson, who I made a phone call to out of the Milwaukee suburbs, and he was operating a independent brokerage with 16 agents, and they did, I think it was 158 million in volume, 436 sides. And I had reached out to him. It was a last minute invite leading up to Build, honestly. So to go back to what you're saying about if you're looking to build something impactful, it's gonna be event centric. It's gonna be centered around the events. And we were, less than a full calendar week out, and I didn't know him. We didn't have any previous relationship, but I researched his brokerage. I studied them. I looked in and tried to find out as much about them as I could, and just opened up the conversation of just asking, hey, where are you currently at with your business? And what are you looking to do over the next, year, 3 years, 5 years? And would you be interested in coming down to see Tony Robbins with my partners and I? And let's just get to know each other and see if this makes sense. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. But either way, we could, just build a new connection and have a referral partner in Wisconsin. And if that's, all that comes of it, like, so be it. But you're running a great business, which clearly was. And yeah, we just want to explore this with you. And he agreed and went out, took a chance, and came down and met all of our partners. And here we are today now, and dude is one of my favorite people in the world. So and we wouldn't know each other, and we wouldn't be friends now if I didn't just go for it. So
yeah, that's what's cool, man. Like, sponsoring people is awesome from the financial aspect, but you're also going to potentially build amazing friendships, lifelong relationships through it, which is like, that's like the cherry on top, or the money's the cherry on top, however you look at it.
right.
So that's good stuff, man. I love what you said, and I don't know the exact wording, but the velocity of your failure is what propels you towards success. That's like a law. As true as the law of gravity exists, the law of you have to fail your way to success is true, which should give people comfort. So when you're making the calls, you're not thinking, oh, this person's going to say no. Don't make the decision for them. Like you said, just make the calls, and make one call every week, every day that scares you. If you just made one call a week that scares you because the person's like a top producer in your market, a team, a brokerage, you'll crush this game. That would be 52 calls to top high-level producers a year. If you got 10%, that'd be 5 high-level people.
Right.
Cool. We'll end it with this, guys. What would it be like to have 5, 10 Lewises in your organization? Imagine that, the energy that it would bring. 10 times 50 total org is 500. You just got to go get 10 Lewises to get to 500 in your organization. That'd be about 300 grand a year in residual income. Not too bad. Lewis, this was awesome, man. Let's plan on getting you back on the calendar in let's say like summertime, when you get a chance to thaw out a little bit. Your organization will be well over 100 to do a recap. So let's make sure we definitely get you on. And yeah, man, just excited for you and your new journey out there in Big Fork, Montana, man, chasing your dreams. I love it.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate it very much.
All right, cool, man. We'll see ya.